This was inevitable as the Philadelphia Eagles dropped their first game of the season to the Denver Broncos, and the frustration between the play calling, the players, the fans, and everyone in between is at its peak. And this has to be a sign for things to change. We'll recap it all on a post-game episode of Eagles Digest. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks alongside Jack Kieley on the first edition of a post-game episode here on Eagles Digest. Before we get into this post-game episode, if you guys are not subscribed to this channel, if you're not a part of the 86.7% who aren't subscribed to this channel, you guys better hit that subscribe button. Comment down below to join in and let us know what your post-game thoughts are on this loss to the Denver Broncos. But getting right into this game, Jack, honestly, this was a winnable game. The Eagles dropped 21-17 against the Denver Broncos. There's a lot of scrutiny that we'll get into, but just looking at the box score, just looking at what your initial thoughts are on this loss.
Yeah, Alex, this game absolutely, like you said, was completely winnable. There were a lot of factors going into this game that just kind of didn't work out in our favor. Of course, as you can see that Bo Nix, Jalen Hurts, through the air today, obviously 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked good, obviously, through last week against the Bucs. That obviously did not work out in their favor in the second half, but obviously it was nice to see that he did get the ball going in the air a few times and also getting the receivers involved, which has kind of been the story of this past week. A.J. Brown, probably didn't get involved as much as he would have wanted to. Obviously, he finished with around, I think, 40 yards today, just a few yards more than his average. But, of course, you can see DeVonta Smith had a big game today as well.
Yeah, I mean, when we're looking at it, we're looking at the playmakers for the Eagles, and the one thing that really sticks out to me is the DeVonta Smith getting 114 yards and Jalen Hurts getting 2 touchdowns and 280 yards. And I mean, when you're looking at the stats for both of these guys, you're thinking, oh, this is great. It seems like the Eagles were doing really well when you look at it from the box score. But we watched the game. This did not look good on a consistent level. And I think it just comes down to the offensive coordinator of Kevin Patullo. I think he has been one of the most inconsistent offensive coordinators throughout this whole season. I honestly don't understand what is going on because, you look at a Super Bowl team, they will take a while to adjust. They'll take a while. They'll probably take like 2 to 3 weeks to just get their feet underneath them. But when you're not involving A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and you're not just being consistent with it, it's going to go by the wayside. I mean, we were looking it up. 17-3, the Eagles were ahead, and you think, okay, this is going to be a blowout by the fourth quarter. And they just kept going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and nothing was really going any direction of positive for the Eagles. And I honestly don't know what is needed to change, but I'm hoping that this game is a gut punch to the Eagles to just say, hey, let's open the playbook. Let's get some things going.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was troubles last season, even when Kellen Moore came in. He was the new offensive coordinator. And, obviously when you get a new offensive coordinator, it's going to take time for every player to adjust to their certain player styles. Like Kellen Moore was coming from Dallas, of course, which is, a very pass-heavy offense with Dak Prescott. And how Jalen Hurts is not really accustomed to an offense like that. So, obviously, Kevin Patullo coming in this season is, it's been an adjustment for the receivers and Jalen Hurts, of course. So, like you said, they are going to just have to regroup after this. Like, this was just a gritty loss, like they need to, regroup, open the playbook up, get the receivers and the quarterback on the same page and try and open it up again. I mentioned in a video before that maybe they need to incorporate a little more like read options or play action to try and, fake out the defense because, as you can see from today that obviously Saquon Barkley just did not get involved in the offense once again today. He did have a great passing touchdown from Jalen Hurts, great route by him beating out Alex Singleton, the linebacker, but obviously, he has just not been up to par from last season.
No, and I think that's when you're looking at the defenses, their number one thing is to stop Saquon Barkley because they know if Saquon gets into space, he's he's running to the house, and he is having a house call every single time. So they're really doing a good job, and credit to all these coaches that keep doing a great job at stopping Saquon, but that should be an advantage for the Eagles because they do have Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, and DeVonta Smith. And I think the most frustrating thing out of this game is that how good they looked at certain spots in this game. Like, they looked like a flying, passing offense. I mean, you saw when, DeVonta Smith was getting his yards. You saw even when A.J. Brown was getting his normal reps in the first quarter, and then obviously Dallas Goedert getting some yards and a touchdown today. So all these guys were getting involved. It never clicked for all 4 quarters, and if you're not able to click at all 4 quarters, you don't deserve to win the game. And going into another thing was the missed pass interference call on Dallas Goedert. It changed the game. It really did. It cost the Eagles the game. And I mean, I know that a lot of people on social media right now, they are going to, be furious with the call. And I honestly, I say in my mind, I am frustrated with the call initially. But when we're looking at it, if you're giving up a 14-point lead, you're not going to be able to be saved by these calls.
No, absolutely not. And getting in more into the refs, the penalties today were unbelievable. I mean, they were unacceptable. Like some of the things that the players were doing today were just complete things you'd see out of a rookie almost. Jalen Carter was going offsides, getting baited by Bo Nix in the offense. We had DeVonta Smith do a penalty as well today, along with Saquon Barkley. And I think the Eagles are averaging around 7 penalties per game right now in the NFL, which is, I believe, in the top 10. And, from a team that has an offense as talented and as vetted as they are, as long as they've been in the league, you just can't have penalties like that in a game like this against such a strong defense.
Yeah, and I really think that there is something with this, this loss. I really think that this is going to be something that's going to be a turning point. We saw with last year with the Commanders' loss that the Eagles just, they needed a gut punch because they were winning all these games. I mean, everyone was going into it, and they were like, Eagles are undefeated since when Jalen Hurts has started for over a year. So, at some point, that was going to go and be that would just go away, and they would end up losing a game. The one silver lining, and I know it's I don't like to talk about silver linings in a loss, it is against an out-of-conference opponent with the Denver Broncos. It should have been a winnable game. This should have been a blowout, should have been a winnable game. But when we're looking at it and just, digesting it a little bit, it was an out-of-conference loss. And I think when you're looking at just the severity of the season, it could, if this was against the Giants, this was against the Rams or the Buccaneers, there would be a lot more pain in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And one more thing to get into before we just clip this video is that it was obviously really hard to see that Landon Dickerson had to come out of the game early in the first quarter with his ankle. Of course, this offensive line has just been really just playing at a depleted level. You have Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson who had off-season surgeries in this training camp, and they're playing hurt. And Lane Johnson also had to come out of the game early against the Bucs last week with I believe it was a neck strain. And obviously this offensive line needs a bit of a break, if I'm being honest. I know you don't want to hear that with a game as gritty as football where you just want to tough through it, but these guys are humans. They're not like superheroes. They need rest. They need to get healthy. So obviously I was a little angry to see Landon Dickerson get hurt in this game because I mentioned in a previous video that I honestly think he should have taken a week or 2 off.
No, I completely agree. I definitely think that there is, something going on with the injury bug across the Eagles' offensive line. You were mentioning with Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, and I definitely think that is the root issue of why this offensive line is not creating holes for Saquon Barkley. I mean, at the end of the day, is when you're looking at all the team's game plan, is there ever just everyone stacking the box at once, and it's you can't stop Saquon, or you're stopping Saquon every single play? It just seems like there is just a little bit of an underperformance by this offensive line, and that goes to the injury that Landon Dickerson has, and you're going to have to switch some guys out. So the Eagles are going to go up against the Giants in a short week, so it's, they don't have a lot of time to just be all down on this loss. They got to really just turn the page quick and get ready to go up the turnpike in New Jersey. We're just going to, just talk about that before we wrap it up. I definitely think that this is going to be something where it's going to be a gut test right now. It's going to be something where this Giants game at MetLife, it's MetLife Stadium is not good with teams that are injured right now. It causes a lot of injuries, neighbors, for example. So it's going to be a tough test, tough environment, but, you got to win the games that are on your schedule, and you definitely got to take advantage of the division games.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And from the looks of the Giants, they did not have a hot start today, as they did lose to the New Orleans Saints, who, in my opinion, is one of, if not the worst team in the NFL. So, the Eagles obviously have their history with the Giants, a pretty good history, might I add, because, we always end up beating them. It's a very rare occasion where the Giants do beat us, but if that does happen to be the case next week, there is going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to look over for this team, because if there's a loss to the Giants this coming Sunday, that's not a good look for the season.
Not a good look at all. But I appreciate everyone that is tuning in to this post-game episode of Eagles Digest. Let us know what your guys' comments are regarding this loss against the Denver Broncos and where you think this team needs to change at what point. But that is going to do it for Jack Kieley. My name is Alex Brooks. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Fly, Eagles, fly, and